Okay, let's talk about periods because we all know that periods suck. They're never fun. And while you may not be pregnant, that does not mean it doesn't affect you mentally and physically. Whether it's leg day, cheat day, or any day, I'm Adriana, and you're listening to Cupquakes. Let's face it, life is hard, and adding exercise makes it even harder. Not only that, you have mental health struggles, food challenges, and literally everything else to worry about. So here on Cupquakes, we talk about it all. Hello, thanks for tuning in, and you're listening to Cupquakes. All right, so we're going to start off with a really realistic issue. Periods. If you don't know what a period is, then you're doing a lot better than I currently am because periods are awful. You're having some problems. I won't go too much into it. I'll save the rest of you from that. But for all my, my fellow other people that have to suffer from a period, it's the worst feeling in the world sometimes. You're getting messy, you're cramping, you're in pain, you're super hungry one moment, you're very emotional, and of course, you never get enough sleep. Something that I feel like isn't really talked about a lot is how periods affect you physically in like gym culture. Obviously, I'm a gym rat. I love going to the gym. It's one of my favorite things to do. But when you go to the gym and you're on your period, it can easily be one of the most mentally diminishing things for you. I can go in and I would have my normal workout sets. I do for leg day, for example, that when I first got my period, I was supposed to be doing sets of 10 to 5, pretty high weight, stuff like that. I typically can push, let's say 185 for 5, 10. If I'm feeling good that day, I want to push it. But that day, I was doing even 95. I did 95 for 10, and I was struggling. It was the worst. I try to tend to switch up on my period. I try to focus more on form. I try to focus on more repetitions. But as you may know, that's not always going to be the case. When I tried to increase weight to 135, so a plate on each side, something that I should be able to typically do as a warm-up was easily the hardest part of my workout. I did it for 4. When you're used to doing such high numbers, such high repetitions, to then have your period come in and just crush it, it sucks. It really does. And people don't recognize that. You can be there pushing all this weight and the next day you just completely falter. It makes you rethink a lot of things. You're like, oh man, am I falling off? What am I doing wrong? How do I fix this? A bunch of that stuff. And no one really is there to tell you. Another big thing is that sometimes you do adjust your workouts. Instead of doing heavy weight, maybe you try doing cardio. Well, cardio isn't everyone's thing. It's certainly not my thing. I am more a weightlifter. Running, I want to say I like it, but we're not really the best of friends. And even then, when you're on your period too, you have to then worry about what clothes you wear. It sounds dumb, I know, but you generally do have to worry about this. I wear my Nike Pros. I wear, my t-shirts. I wear my sweaters. I head to the gym, do my thing there. But sometimes you don't feel covered and secure. So, sometimes you're wearing an outfit you don't like as much. And then that also does affect your mood too. It definitely does for me. If I go to the gym and I am not wearing an outfit that I feel comfortable in and that I feel confident in, you don't want to work out. Your workout energy drops by like a good 20-30%. The motivation is not there as much. And considering the fact that you are on your period too, then it makes it that much harder. And it's not recognized. And it's such a frustrating thing to know. You also have to debate too. There's this big controversial question. When you're on your period, do you work out? Some people have said yes, and some people have said no. And it's quite honestly based on the person. For me, there's some months where I'm like, yeah, I feel great. I feel absolutely like fantastic. I can take on the world. I can go run 2 miles because I'm not anything more than 2 is really hard. But besides the point. But I can go run 2 miles. I can lift all these crazy weights. I can do this. I can do that. And then you have other days, like example this week. It got to the point where it was so bad, I couldn't physically get out of bed. You're bedridden on days that you're supposed to be pushing hard. And it's like, well, do you do this? Do you force yourself to get out of bed even though you're in physical pain? Or do you just let yourself just rest? And that's something you need to take into account. You have to listen to your body. One of the big things when it comes to exercise is, actually listening to your body and what it physically needs. And that's such a silly thing to say. Even when you're not on your period, you could have a certain workout that you have planned and you're doing it and it just doesn't feel right. Let's say you're hitting leg day, but instead you're like, you know what? I physically feel like my legs aren't doing well, but I need to, my arms feel really great. I feel like I could really hit arms. Switch it up. There's no shame in adjusting your workout to what feels right that day. And that's such a big thing to do for your own personal growth. You have to manage and have to adjust whatever you need to whatever's happening in your life that day. Because like a period, it's kind of unexpected, and it kind of just always throws you for a loop. You never know what's going to happen each month. So you may as well, make the most of it, which is really funny too. I'm going to go back to how I was at the gym over the week. I think it was Monday. I was doing legs, like I mentioned, 135, felt like the worst weight in the world, kind of wanted to cry. I probably did at some point, but besides the point. But then the next day, it's deadlifts. And I'm repping out like these crazy numbers. Like I was like, what was it, 205? I repped it out for like 5 easy, and I felt good. Mind you, I'm doing this all without a belt. So that was pretty nice because I have the issue where any added pressure to, my diaphragm, my lower stomach, it hurts. Like I have to be super careful with what I wear, how I eat that day, just because it physically does hurt if I have too much pressure on there. But I'm, repping things out, and I'm feeling great. My workout feels great. I feel really nice. But you look at that, how is that day? How is day 2 of my period so different than day 1 of my period? And it's just little things like that. And that shows how critical it is to listen to your body and just really determine what you need for that day. Something else to think about is, what do you wear? And I'm not talking about just the leggings or the sweatpants. I'm talking about, what do you use to protect yourself? Typically going to the gym, you are going to be moving around a lot more. So tampons can be a girl's best friend, but I also understand that that's not for everybody. You can sometimes use pads, you use Diva cups, and there's other methods as well. Some people prefer the UID, the thing that goes in your arm. But everyone's got their own method to make sure that they're safe and secure, whether it be, for as a birth control purpose or a period purpose. There's just so many factors to take into account. And then let's say, you're wearing a pad. Do you have to change everything else up because, you're worried that one day you might slip up? If you're wearing a tampon, sometimes it moves. We all know that's not a nice feeling. It's a horrible feeling. You're there and you're like, oh God. And even then too, it's so different. You always have to adjust, and you always have to be listening. So that's definitely something that I feel like people really should give themselves more credit for. You got to listen to your body. You got to know what's best for you. Not only that, bloating. Bloating is the worst. I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I bloat, it actually physically hurts. I can push down on my stomach and I want to cry because it's that painful for me. So you have to worry about bloating. For a lot of people, you could be, cutting weight, or you could even be maintaining, you could be bulking, you could be doing whatever you want. As long as you're physically working out and keeping yourself healthy, that's all that matters end of the day. But the bloating can really mess with you. You can be looking at your progress, you're doing great, everything's fine. And then next day you're bloated to, all craziness. And it just, you rethink, oh my God, what's my diet doing? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with that? Should I be wearing this outfit? Should I be putting this on instead? Should I be covering up? Your mind goes through a million different questions all at once. When in reality, it's just something normal. You go through bloating, you're going through something physical. You got to allow yourself to have a little bit of that leeway. Another big thing, food cravings. Periods are notorious for being a big downfall in people's, fitness journeys. You like, what, randomly, I could be craving a salad. I'd be like, what, I want a salad, or I want a green juice. This sounds amazing. And then my period comes and I'm like, oh, give me the chips, give me the hot dogs, give me this, I would love an extra large slushie, go get some, drive-through food. I want everything that is bad for me. I want that all at once. And I want it by the hour. I don't stop eating. It's just consistently eating. So that's definitely something that really, I feel like a lot of people do struggle with. I will admit, I do struggle with that a lot. I'm a very big advocate of when you're on your period, whatever you eat, the calories don't count. That's such a fun way, but also such a bad thing to say. But it's also what, your body needs it more than you think it does. If you're really craving something salty, well then, your sodium levels are down. You need to take care of that. You want meat. Well, you need to look at your iron. You need to look at, if you need any certain vitamins in there. So you can try to adjust that best you can. But you know what? As I've mentioned before, and I'll say it again, it's so critical to listen to your body and what it needs at that moment. And, you got to let yourself indulge a little bit. You can't be very restrictive on your diet when you're on your period just because your body is quite literally bleeding. That's the best way I can say it. You are quite literally bleeding. So let yourself have that extra fry. Let yourself get that milkshake. Because if you're taking care of yourself every other day you can't, like the best of your ability, you're allowed to give yourself a little bit of that leeway and, you know, just relax for a second. If you have to skip a day or two at the gym because you're in physical pain and you cannot get out of bed, stay in bed. It is not worth it. Yes, you can be like, oh, I got to get on the grind. I got to do this. I got to do that. 1 or 2 days will not make or break you. Now, if you're like a month off, okay, hey, we can talk about that. That's a different story. But 1 or 2 days, just so you can recover, so you can take care of yourself and really properly, you know, get your body back where it needs to be. Maybe you do some lighter workouts, you do some yoga videos, you do some light stretching, you go on some walks, adjust as needed so you don't hurt yourself and you don't overexert yourself. Your body's going through so much more on your period. It's having to, you know, physically let things happen. So just let it happen. Let yourself relax. Take it easy. Do whatever you got to do, honestly. Whatever you physically can do. If you feel like you are able to go to the gym and feel good going to the gym, then you go to the gym. Pump out those weights. You get that run in. Look slim thick. Do whatever you got to do. But also on days that you physically can't go, let yourself rest. It's important to listen to your body and also just, you know, advocate for it. Don't let anyone question why you're not going to the gym for 1 or 2 days in a row. Because at the end of the day, you are not on a fitness journey for anyone else but yourself. You take care of yourself, and you're going to provide for yourself. And that's Cupquakes for today.